Hey, y'all. Welcome to Should have checked this before we're going live. Welcome to USFL Today Live is what we're calling this, I think. Sorry if it's bright. Got the window open today, so anyway, let's get to the football. The USFL kicked off last night in a spectacular way. We had our opening game between the Birmingham Stallions and the New Jersey Generals. I know a lot of New Jersey fans were hoping, were praying, were trying to will this team to win this game. It did not happen at all. New Jersey, whether it's the Giants, whether it's the Jets, whether it's any of their teams, can't buy a win. So if you live in New Jersey and you're a fan of sports, I suggest you promptly move elsewhere. Anyway, we got a triple header of games kicking off at noon today. The Houston Gamblers taking on the Michigan Panthers. We also have the USFL debut of the Actually, everyone's having their USFL debut today. But the Philadelphia Stars is going to be taking on the New Orleans Breakers, a team that I am very interested in seeing. The New Orleans Breakers are going to be, I think, the team to watch. This kid, Kyle Slaughter, like when I tell you, he is the prototypical quarterback, random quarterback you want to try to win with in Madden. That's the guy you want. I see Cincy added, sorry, in the chat. Whoa. Homer with the lighting. Yeah, got the window open today, so it's what it is. I can't change it. I like the window. I like to see the trees every once in a while. The blackout curtains had to go today, but it's okay because it's an inaugural stream and 20 people are probably going to watch this. But USFL today, I'm telling you, that is probably my biggest thing that I'm going to be watching today, and that is the New Orleans Breakers. I think that this is a team that is built to win. I think that this is a team that has the pieces, that has the coaching, a la not having Jeff Fisher, because, let's be honest here, if you're a Michigan Panthers fan, I'd be concerned. I'd really, really be concerned. Since he says, I want to see the Michigan Panthers uniforms for today's game. Well, if you watch on Peacock, you can see the whole game. Noon Eastern, they're kicking off. It's going to be Michigan Panthers versus Gamblers. And the game we have not talked about, the Tampa Bay Bandits, named very aptly after their head coach, Todd Haley, who has been a bandit, a swindler of sorts in the NFL. They're going to be taking on the Pittsburgh Maulers, and just like anything, I cannot root for any team associated with Pittsburgh. Let's actually fix this lighting because I do understand that this could get annoying. Could it? Actually, you know what? Let's not fix it. I don't care. Anyway, but since the chat says off topic, but so much for Cavs in 4. Look, Cavs still in 4. Look, I understand that we're not in the playoffs, but Cavs in 4. But, this is an interesting week of pro football, to say the least. The arguably the most interesting things, I'm going to see if I can pull this up here so everyone can see. By the way, guys, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video and or stream is released. Let's see if we can pull up the odds here. So here we go. I thought this was really interesting. These are this week's USFL spreads for opening day, according to Fox Sports Bet Live or whatever. So the USFL spreads are basically 2.5 for the first 3 games, and then tonight the game between the Bandits and the Pittsburgh Maulers, it's going to be a 4.5 point spread. Honestly, I'm going to be very blunt with everyone. These spreads are completely arbitrary. They mean nothing. Mostly because we don't know what these teams are, any of them. We don't know. Like last night, we found out, I think, a little bit more about who the Birmingham Stallions are and who the Generals are in that game. I'm going to talk about what I thought about that game, whether or not it was good football, whether or not it really deserved to be played in that prime of a spot. We'll talk about that. Let me know your questions, though, about the game. What did you guys think about the game? Since he says lighting looks fine, I don't really care. It's Sunday. It's Easter. By the way, happy Easter to everyone out there who is celebrating. But, look, I think that, again, the odds are arbitrary to say the least. But last night, what we found out about this league in the inaugural game for the USFL was that, as I pull up, let me just pull up something so you guys can see what it was. Birmingham Stallions, New Jersey Generals, 28-24. It came right down to the wire between these two teams. And Cincy in the chat just said exactly what I was going to say. This game was interesting. Was it good? At points, yep. Maybe a little bit. It was a little slow, especially I believe, here's the thing. The beginning of the game was, there was that spectacle. There was that interest of, oh, this is the first game of this new league. People wanted to see it. There was some excitement. There was some adrenaline in my soul. Something. Cody Rhodes. But, there was that initial interest. And then I found that as I kept watching, my interest waned and waned and waned. By the time we got to the fourth quarter, it was still, I still had that interest to see who would win. But at the end of the day, it wasn't really good football. It was meh. This is not taking away anything from these competitors. This is not taking anything away from anyone who played last night, anyone who played well last night. It's not taking anything away from the coaches. Bottom line was that it was really not great football, and it had a really good ending. I'll say that. It had a really, really good ending. That last touchdown, with about, I think, under 20 seconds left in the game, it kept things interesting enough to where if you watched it, you were like, okay, probably going to tune in next week or tomorrow or today, whenever you're going to tune in. But, look, one of the biggest problems with this league was the fact that they started off, I think, in February with this whole process. They had the players in place, I believe, in early February. That's when they had their draft. And then in late February is when they hired their coaches. So it's been a sprint. They had 3 weeks of training camp to prepare for this day, to prepare for opening weekend of the USFL, which is not a lot when you compare it to previous leagues, which is not a lot when you compare it to the NFL, of course. The NFL is a very long and extensive process of training camp. That's like 6, 7, 8 weeks. But with the USFL, they said it's going to be a sprint, not necessarily a marathon. In this respect, we are going to get these players as ready as we can. They've been practicing full speed for 3 straight weeks. And again, the results were what they were. I think as the season goes on, it's important that we hope that these players get more comfortable in their positions, that the teams get more comfortable in designing plays and preparing them for these games. But at the end of the day, the USFL must have good football. Because you know what? You say what you want. The XFL in 2020 had really good football. They were averaging 1 million viewers a week. I don't think we have the Fast Nationals yet for the USFL ratings. I can look it up real quick, but I don't think we do have the Fast Nationals yet. Probably going to have those later today or maybe Monday because it's Easter, probably Monday. But yeah, to say that game was, if that game is what we're going to expect from the USFL, I'm not saying that it's going to fail. I think at this point it's going to be very difficult for the USFL to fail because of the backing of Fox. Fox would completely have to back out of this entire venture. Or the ratings would have to be shit. If the ratings are garbage, then you could see the Fox more willing to back out. Because if they're going to invest all this money into a new football league, if they're going to invest all this money into this new venture, and it would be more worthwhile for them to put on a rerun of Family Guy or what have you, then they're just going to put on a rerun of Family Guy because it's significantly cheaper. They own the property, they own the product, and they're going to get all the ad revenue from it. So, I don't know. We don't have the ratings yet for last night's game, obviously. But I really do hope that they're good. I don't know what Fox is necessarily looking for in that time slot. Like, it's Saturday night or last night was NBC, I believe, and Fox. So I'm not sure exactly what they're looking for, but if it's bad, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like, bad could mean a few things. If let's say they're projecting 500,000 people. Actually, it's Saturday night. It's a new league. Let's say they're projecting somewhere in that 500 to 800,000 people tuning in. If that's what they're projecting, and they end up getting 400,000, I think, even though that didn't meet projections, it's still good enough. If it's less than that is where I would get worried for the future of the league, because as we know, happened with the USFL, happened with the AAF, happened with any league that's been on television. First week, you get really good ratings. Then you settle into a groove of what you're going to have basically for every game. Now, with the XFL, and I know I'm going to keep going back to the XFL because that is probably the most apt comparison to this league. It's the most recent comparison to this league for sure. The XFL was averaging right around 1 million viewers a game, which is really good. So the USFL has their word cut out for them. I know a lot of fans, including myself, are skeptical about spring leagues as they are. We should want them to succeed. That doesn't necessarily mean we should expect them to succeed. Right? Anyway, we'll see what happens there. But last night's game between the Birmingham Stallions and New Jersey Generals, it was interesting to see the coaches and the players and the way they interacted and have them mic'd up. That's the version I watched. I also tuned into Fox later to see the ending, but it was interesting. It was interesting. I'll have some time to process how I feel about the entire league in general after today's games, but let's get to today's games, actually. Houston Gamblers taking on the Michigan Panthers. Sunday, today, 12 p.m. Eastern. So this is obviously going to be in Birmingham. All the games are going to be in Birmingham, giving the Birmingham Stallions a wonderful, wonderful home field advantage. Although there weren't that many people at the game, or at least from my eyes. I'll look up how many people were actually at the game. By the way, guys, it's a great time to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to ask your questions in the chat as well. So, let's see. Apparently, there were 40,000 tickets sold. 40,000 tickets sold. And again, the whole gimmick with these tickets are that there were, I believe, the tickets cost around $10. That's what it was. It was $10 for adult admission. Children under 15 get in for free with the purchase of an adult ticket. So they sold 40,000 tickets. Unfortunately, it did not come across that way on TV because the weather was so bad. It was raining. It was not good. Weather was so bad. Only about 17,000 showed up. And I do think, while I do like the cheap ticket prices, I do. One of the pitfalls, one of the downfalls, I should say, of that is the fact that if you pay $10 for something, you're going to be more willing to be like, well, if I don't go, it's not too big of a deal, right? I'm not saying that for everybody, but there's going to be a lot of people who feel that way, and apparently there were a lot of people who felt that way. Nearly half the people, or over half the people who bought tickets felt that way. So, again, I'm not sure what people thought about the football that was played when they were watching in the stadium, but the fact that only 17,000 people showed up, it's a worrying sign initially. Hopefully the weather in Birmingham gets better. Hopefully the play on the field improves so that people actually want to come to the game. I know they have sold, I should say, tickets from all 50 states, including tickets from me. So it is going to be it's going to be interesting to see how much longer they can keep it up. Because if they're consistently, because again, that's the other thing. It's the same thing with television as with fans in the stands. Over the next few weeks, look for there to be less fans. And, you could argue that the fact that it was a Birmingham game, I know that there's really no team loyalty yet for a lot of people. But the fact that games are being played in Birmingham, the fact that the team that won last night was in Birmingham, and only half the people or under half the people who bought tickets showed up, could be worrying for the rest of the teams. Like, it's different it's different, I should say, when you have these teams playing in the different markets that they're supposed to be representing. Like the XFL, they played in DC. I went to a lot of DC Defenders games. You know what I noticed from those DC Defenders games? Every single week, there'd be more people. You know why? Because they were endearing themselves to the community. Plus, it made, and the strategy that the USFL should use next year, don't put stadiums or don't play in stadiums that aren't in those cities. Like, that's a big problem I have with the NFL for a lot of these stadiums. I understand, space and all that kind of stuff. You can fit 2 baseball stadiums in New York. You're telling me you can't fit a football field? Come on now. I don't believe that. You can fit a football stadium and a baseball stadium in Baltimore, but you can't do the same in DC when there's already space for a sports stadium. Come on now. And there's already a baseball stadium in DC. So again, that's my inner district boy coming out, my inner angry district boy that we'll talk about that another day. But my point is, when you endear these communities, when you endear these fans enough, they will show up to these games. I'm just not sure that's going to happen in Birmingham. Now, are there going to be fans who attend every game? Yes. But the number of fans that attend every game is not going to be, 20,000 fans from Birmingham every single game. No, that's not happening. So you're going to have to find that balance. I think while it was, I guess, smart of them, I guess, to kind of get ahead of a potential closure or what have you, and honestly, save money. That's what this was about. I know a lot of people are going to disagree. This was about saving money. They don't have to pay for players' travels. They don't have to pay for hotels and all that kind of stuff in different places. They don't have to pay the fees to rent different stadiums. This was a cost-saving measure, people. So let's not act like this was let's not act like this was some genius idea. It was a genius idea if the goal is to save money, which it probably should be. But if that's the way you're approaching this, it does beg the question, how serious are you in Fox or the owners of this league? How serious are you in running this league long term? That's my biggest critique and my biggest question. The football will take care of itself, hopefully. Look, these are people who played football at a high level in college, a lot of them. So and they're all at about a very similar level of skill. Or we're going to see if they are. Kyle Slaughter might be better than some may assume. But that's going to take care of itself. What I'm more worried about are the people who are in charge of this league and how far they want to go with executing their vision. That's my biggest concern. TBD, we will see. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the chat. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Since he says, did you see the FCF? Terrell Owens is going crazy with Money Manziel. Hey, man, if I'm the USFL, for the gimmick, for the interest, I'm making a call to TO. I'm making a call to TO, and I'm going to find out what that price is. And it's probably not going to be that much if he's playing in the Fan Control Football League. Just saying. Anyway, let's break down some of these games. Let's take a look here. First game we got today, Houston Gamblers, Michigan Panthers, kicking off at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific, I should say, on this wonderful Easter Sunday. So let's talk about this as I mess around with my stuff right here. Actually, let's do that. That looks better. Anyway, Michigan Panthers are a team that everyone's been talking about. They obviously have Shea Patterson, who is their, I believe, who he was the number one pick in the USFL draft, if I'm not mistaken. I will look that up just to make sure that I am not, but pretty sure he was. Anyway, yep, Shea Patterson, number one overall pick in the USFL draft. And when you look at, to me, the two most interesting quarterbacks that I want to see in this whole league are Shea Patterson, because he's a guy who I actually thought had a chance to be in the NFL and could prove to have a chance, or could prove that he should have had a chance to be in the NFL. I know he had a stint where he played on the practice squad of, I believe, like it was like the I don't know, it's like the Cardinals or somebody. So I red jersey. I saw him in a red jersey, but I know that much. But he was on a practice squad in the NFL. I do know that, and he's a guy who in college showed flashes of really good playing quarterback, and I thought he was gonna eventually settle into being a backup in the NFL. Has not happened yet. This could be his entry point back into the NFL. Let's see if that happens. That's a big storyline to watch. The other big storyline is the last quarterback taken in the first round of the inaugural USFL draft. That was Kyle Slaughter. Now, Kyle Slaughter, quarterback out of North Colorado. This guy, I'm going in my Mel Kiper voice. No, but Kyle Slaughter is a dog. When I tell you he played very well at Southern Mississippi, he didn't play at Southern Mississippi, and then he played very well his senior year at Northern Colorado. I thought at the NFL Combine he showed very good, he showed very good flashes of his arm strength and all that kind of stuff. Didn't really impress it with his athleticism, but he was never that type of guy. He was the type of guy who had the arm to make in the NFL, and I think I saw him in a preseason game in Denver, and he went off in that game. And then you never heard from him again. Like, literally fell off the face of the earth. He had a few runs, I believe, in Minnesota last year. I remember there was talk about him potentially starting when they had their Rona outbreak. But Kyle Slaughter, to me, if you have not seen this kid play, or if you've not played with him in Madden, I suggest you do that. There are other people. Alex McGaw, another former NFL practice squad player, might have started the game with the Texans, but again, not really well known. Kyle Laletta, another name who's been around for a while now. I think he's been around for 4 or 5 years now after college. Has a pick. That's his NFL claim to fame. He threw a pick. Byron Scott. Not much there. Look, some of these players are interesting. Now, one player that I really, really am excited to see is this kid out of Michigan. Again, I am a Michigan. I'm not a Michigan fan, by the way. I just want this to be known. But I do think it is interesting that a lot of the really good players coming into the USFL came out of Michigan. But there's this defensive end, Carlo Kemp, who I think has a chance to be very, very good for his team. He's not a big pass rusher, but he will beat you on the line. He will beat you. He will stop runners in the backfield. Chris Odom, very similar type of guy. I'm excited to see how he does. As far as the games go, Houston Gamblers, Michigan Panthers. I said Shea Patterson has probably the highest ceiling of all these quarterbacks, and he's the guy who I would bet on would have a chance to go back to the NFL if he plays well enough. In that case, I'm going with the Michigan Panthers. They had the number one pick in the draft in each round, So I got to go with them. They allegedly had the best chance to build a team. Prove that you did. Michigan Panthers winning that game, I'll say. Here's the thing: all the predictions for these games have these games being very high scoring. But if last night is an example of what we're going to see from USFL football moving forward, it's going to be pretty much everyone's going to be averaging right around 20 to 25 points a game. I'll say Michigan Panthers 28, Houston Gamblers 17. 28-17. Next, let's go to the Philadelphia Stars and the New Orleans Breakers. Again, Kyle Slaughter, a guy who I think is going to do very well in this league. A guy who you would think is another guy who's on a short list to be back in the NFL eventually. I'm going to say Kyle Slaughter and the New Orleans Breakers. It's completely a gut feeling. Kyle Slaughter, New Orleans Breakers, 35-13, because that sounds like a USFL score. That sounds. People can say, "What do you mean that sounds like you?" Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Lastly, we have the Tampa Bay Bandits and the Pittsburgh Maulers, 8 p.m. on FS1. Conventional wisdom tells me to root against Todd Haley. Conventional wisdom tells me that his team is not going to do good. Conventional wisdom tells me that Todd Haley is going to somehow run himself out of town. Because much like his former quarterback, Baker Mayfield, Todd Haley is a very tiresome fellow. You get tired of him very easily. So, do I think his players are going to be that inspired to play for him? Not really. Do I think Todd Haley's going to have this team as prepared as they probably should be to play today? Not really. Does that mean that their quarterback is going to play well despite Todd Haley? Sorry, Cincy. Not really. Give me Pittsburgh, and give me Pittsburgh by... I'm not going to give you a score on this one. Give me Pittsburgh by 10. That's what I'm going to say there. Pittsburgh by 10. So that's been USFL today. I know, Cincy, thank you for joining. I'll try to do these at least once a week. Kind of recapping what's happened in the USFL or previewing what's happened in the USFL. But I really wanted to get this going. Guys, you can still put your questions in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you guys thought about last night's game. Let me know what you guys think about the USFL. Its chances for success. I spoke about that earlier in this stream. But, again, the biggest thing for this league to succeed, or the two biggest things. One, coaches, GMs, everyone, they got to get these players ready to play. They have to prepare them, and the players have to play good football. Two biggest things. Because otherwise, I am convinced that Fox and everyone who owns this league, I am convinced that they are, if the ratings aren't good, or if the play on the field, if the ratings aren't good, it means the player on the field is not good, and if the ratings aren't good, this league will probably not last too long. I'm looking through Twitter. Reaction to last night's game was lukewarm, to say the least. Lukewarm. We'll see how well they do. I mean, look, we should be rooting for the we should be rooting for all spring football leagues, but we should be rooting for the USFL. Again, it's a startup league that's going to give a lot of players a chance to play football for money and play football for a potential future in the NFL. That in itself should be motivational for all fans to at least check it out, give it a chance. I do think we should give it a chance. Now, the rules changes, as far as the rules changes go, I mean, actually, let's take a look at some of these rules changes before we end this stream By the way, get your questions in, guys. So here's the thing. There are some rules changes here that I like as I'm trying to find it here. But boom, guys. By the way, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Am I just scrolling past it? Is that what's happening here? Talent level, or you know what the talent level is? It is not good. Oh, here we go. So, what will the game look like? If you guys didn't watch last night's game, you really didn't get a feel for it. So, in case you haven't, I'm gonna kind of walk you through a little bit of some of these rules changes, why they happened, and you know what that really means. Trevor just joined the chat. Welcome, Trevor. Hope you're having a great Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to you. Says, I didn't even know they were starting this week. So nobody did, apparently, except for me. Like, literally, nobody knew that this week was going to be their week or their opening weekend. Not good from an advertising standpoint. Not good from a confidence standpoint in how much confidence Fox and NBC and all these partners have in this league, in my opinion. But we will see. Since he just says, I just have a bad feeling that the USFL is going to fail unless games are like 20 times better. They got to be better than they were last night. I will say that. Like, and that's no hate on any of the coaches, the players. Having 3 weeks of training camp with the team before you start a league, not optimal. Not good. Not good. Like, if you look at the XFL, you know why the football was actually pretty good in 2020? It was because they had training camp started while teams were still playing football in the NFL. Now, come on. 3 weeks. You got to do better. You got to do better. Anyway, let's go into it. So, again, much like the AAF, much like the XFL, they being the USFL, are trying to innovate the game of professional football. All that jazz. And here are the ways they're innovating it. 35-second play clock. The goal here is to make the games go faster, put more pressure on offenses to go faster, to get the plays in quicker, basically just to improve the at-home experience. Again, I don't hate this rule actually. Like 35-second play clock, okay. You got to hurry up. That's fine. It's not like that a 25-second play clock. That would be disastrous. That would be disastrous. Like there would be so many delay games. And we saw a few delay games last night. We saw a few pretty rough delay games last night that were not great. Here we go. 3 options after scoring a touchdown. You have the extra point attempt, which is from the 15-yard line. Not a huge fan of that. I think they should bring it back to the NFL rules or at least farther from the 15-yard line. They're playing by the old rules. Like you're supposed to be trying to prepare people for the NFL, put together realistic and good football. I mean, I don't like it. I think you got to prepare kickers to be under pressure in this league. And how you do that is putting them through the ringer. I understand these are not like great kickers, a lot of them. And a lot of them might be missing, but I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe they still want to make their kickers look like crap. Okay. If that's the case, that's fine. But I don't think there are going to be a lot of extra point attempts. Or actually, last night there were a few. Never mind. I guess they're all going for extra points here. But the reason they shouldn't be is they have a chance to score 2 points from the 2-yard line, but also 3 points. So if you're down by 3 points after you score a touchdown, you have a chance to tie. You have a chance to tie, and that is big. 3-point try from the 10-yard line. Not bad. Just saying, not bad. Could make things interesting. I do like the layered extra points that the XFL used to have. Again, I'm just gonna harp on the XFL until they come back, and I hope they come back with the same rules because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Although the logo, we'll talk about that later. But the tiered point systems for the extra point attempts were good. I thought. We'll see if they being the USFL eventually adopt that. The option for a kickoff. this is one thing I really like. So the option for a kickoff, if you want to do a regular kickoff, it's going to be from the 25-yard line, and that would eliminate touchbacks. Not that much of a fan of that, because we do know that most of the injuries that do happen on, or they used to happen before the NFL changed the rule, used to happen on these kickoff attempts because they were a lot of time needless hits. Not a fan of that. I am a massive fan, though, about the onside kick rule or the onside rule. So if you're about to kick off and you want to try an onside attempt, here's what you do. You get an untimed down, basically a 4th and 12 from the 33-yard line, from your own 33-yard line. If you gain the 12 yards, you get the ball there. Your offense takes over. If you don't, their defense takes over at your 33-yard line in what the USFL is calling, I believe, like the scoring field, the scoring zone. They don't call it the red zone. They made very clear last night they're not calling it the red zone. They're calling it the scoring part of the I don't know what they called it. Some random gimmick they trademarked. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be very interesting. I think the NFL should adopt it already. The onside kick is in my opinion very gimmicky. Doesn't work. And a 4th and 13 is much more compelling, honestly, than a conventional kickoff or an onside kick. The overtime format. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's get into this one. I'm going to read this word for word verbatim here. The overtime format. Best of 3 shootout format in overtime, where each team gets 3 plays from the 2-yard line, and the one with the most points after the team has run 3 plays is the winner. After that, overtime extends to sudden death, and the first score wins. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You want to talk about gimmicks? They really threw a gimmick here, by the way. They really threw us a gimmick here. So basically, best of 3. Each team's going to have 3 attempts from the 2-yard line to score as many points as possible. And after that, whoever has the most points wins. Okay. And then it becomes sudden death. So they're basically making it a quicker, less compelling version of college football. The college football basically does something very similar to this, but they do it from the 25-yard line. And the USFL said, screw it, we're going to do it from the 2-yard line. I mean, look, teams should be scoring touchdowns on all of those. So you, at that point, like, let's say this. You're in a situation where best 3 shootouts, each team scores those 3 touchdowns very easily. No one goes for the 2-point attempts, or everyone goes for the 2-point attempts and makes them, right? You're tied. So then that would mean, after those 3 attempts, team who gets the ball first basically just punches it in, boom, wins the game. What? I would not mind it as much if it was from the 25-yard line, because you actually have to go somewhere. From the 2-yard line? From the 2-yard line. You're going to have sudden death rules with a team starting at the 2-yard line? Come on now. That's absolutely garbage, dude. Absolutely garbage. At least, if you're going to have a rule this gimmicky, at least make it so that after that, when you go into sudden death, you start at the 25-yard line. That would have been much better. Because at least you have to drive a little bit to get there. At least there's some scheming. At least the defense has a chance to do something. Just saying. I mean, I think it's an absolutely stupid rule to do that, to do sudden death from the 2-yard line. Absolutely stupid rule. Garbage. Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns on God in the chat says, Suns will slap any team in the playoffs. Suns 2022 champions. Really worked out well for you guys in 2021. Love you, Arizona. Cincy in the chat says, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Suns bandwagon be crazy. I mean, seems like a Suns fan. He's been here for a little bit here. Trevor in the chat says, it seems like the USFL is trying too hard, in my opinion. Cincy says, yes, except with the advertising. Why the 2, though? Yeah, I mean, like, why the 2-yard line? It makes absolutely no sense to do this from the 2-yard line. Sudden death from the 2-yard line. Very dumb decision. Very dumb decision. We can all agree on that. On punts, gunners can't line up outside the numbers and can't double team until the ball is kicked. Now, this is specifically a rule that the NFL is going to be watching closely because they are thinking about adopting a similar rule to, again, the whole thing is about having less injuries and less chances for people to get hurt, and a lot of that happens on these plays where players are going full steam on kickoffs and punts. So we'll see that. A 15-yard walk-off for defensive pass interference. This is interesting. So instead of having a spot foul, they're going to do 15 yards, which I think is good. I wish the NFL did the same because I do think that, I don't know, the pass interference calls in the NFL at this point, with the consistency that they're calling it, something needs to be done to balance it out. I'm going to be interested to see how this goes. And finally, the creme de la creme of gimmicky rules. Multiple forward passes are allowed in the USFL. Yes, you can pass the ball forward multiple times on one play as long as they are attempted behind the line of scrimmage. So, what does that mean? It means quarterback drops back behind the line of scrimmage, right? He can throw the ball forward about a yard or two to the running back, who can then throw the ball downfield as long as the running back is behind the line of scrimmage. So you can have 2 passes forward behind the line of scrimmage. Do I mind this? No. Do I want to see this in the NFL? Absolutely not. That's just how I feel. Fight me on that. Let me know what you guys think about those rules, though. Like I said, the NFL Competition Committee is going to be looking at especially that punting rule to see how they can probably incorporate it. Mike Pereira will be the USFL's official chief operating referee. Please send all of your angst and vitriol towards Mike Pereira. All you crazy fans out there. No, don't do that. But yeah, I mean, they have a section here about how the USFL success will be measured. I mean, look, ratings are going to decline, right? They're always going to decline. The biggest thing for the USFL is to play good football, honestly. They got to play better than they did yesterday. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. We'll see. Last chance to get your questions in, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Happy Easter, by the way, everyone. USFL Today, we'll be trying to do this consistently as much as we can every week, either before or after the games. Since he says players aren't that great and the rules are weird. Yeah, they're weird. I mean, any rules are going to be on some level weird compared to the NFL, obviously, but I don't know. The XFL 2020 figured it out. We'll see if the USFL 2022 can. Since he says, wonder if there's any FCF. Since he is an FCF fan, aren't you? Let's see if there are any FCF games. I'll look it up for you, Cincy. We'll look it up. April, 17th? Nope. No games today. It looks like. Oh, nope. Sorry, that's an NFT. What? NFTs. Okay, so they're just trying to con me. I don't know. I don't know what an NFT is. Actually, I do kind of know what an NFT is, but I watched that South Park episode, and now I'm just like, oh, I don't know, man. NFTs. I'm not trying to get conned by Butters. We'll see, though. You know what? Yeah, I can't find it. I'll whatever. Look, it's not a serious league. It's less serious than the USFL. That tells you all you need to know about the FCF. Trevor says, a lot of these rules are a bit wonky at best, but there are at least 2 or 3 good ones. But like you said, the play on the field is what's important. And Trevor says, are you going to have a USFL team? Look, I don't know about a team just yet. I'm not ready to commit 100% to a team. I do have a player that I am really rooting for, and that is Kyle Slaughter of the New Orleans Breakers. So, could be New Orleans. That's a team I have my eye on. One thing I do know, I am not a Generals fan. I am not a Birmingham Stallions fan after last night. We will see. I will have potentially my interest gauged by one of these teams playing today. We'll see, but that's to be determined. I don't know if I'm not going to commit right now to rooting for anyone. One, because DC doesn't have a team or Maryland doesn't have a team. So, not necessarily going to root for anyone if I already don't have that connection. If the Defenders were playing, you already know your boy is back with the X, with the shield that I still can't find. I will find that one day. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think about the USFL, though. Put your questions in the chat. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Over is Kyle Slaughter's manager. Hey, man, we will do it right now. Let's see what Kyle Slaughter can't be too busy, right, outside of today. I mean, obviously not today. Maybe we'll get him for a post-game stream. Like, let's see if we can DM former... oh, God, no. We can't, apparently. Can't DM Kyle Slaughter. Tragic. Oh, maybe we can on IG. We'll see. Kyle Slaughter, if you see this, you already know where to go. Although he is charging a shit ton of money for Cameo. $50 for Cameo for Kyle Slaughter. Love you, Kyle. Can't wait to watch you play football, but I'm not paying for your Cameo. That's how you know I'm not his manager. I would not have him be charging $50 for a Cameo. At least yet. We'll see. Trevor says, I would probably be a New Orleans fan if I decide to even care. Fair enough. What USFL team are you guys all rooting for? Since he says, imagine we got Kyle Slaughter on. I don't know, man. That $50 fee for a Cameo got me worried about what he would want for an interview. I don't know about all that. Hey, if he wants to come on, though, and have fun and talk about football, we can. But $50 for a 1-minute cameo, and then, I don't know about all that. Since he says they've expanded and have weird NFT teams, I'll check myself. It's fun to watch, though. NFT teams, you can own. Not gonna go there. Not gonna pretend like I fully understand or get that. NFTs are not for me. That much I know. They are not for me. Since he says I'm a Michigan Panthers fan, because why not? Oh, that Michigan-Ohio State rivalry runs deep. You can't be a Michigan Panthers fan. You should be a Philadelphia Stars fan. Come on now. Or a New Jersey Generals fan. Anyone. But you pick Michigan, the team that has the Shea Patterson? Come on now. What kind of Ohio State fanboy are you, Cincy? Tragic. Utterly tragic. But yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you this much. I will not be... We'll reveal this. I am not a Generals fan. I am not a Stallions fan. And I am definitely not going to be a Tampa Bay Bandits fan because Todd Haley is their head coach. Refuse to root for that man. Since he says, nah, I got to be a Breakers fan. See? Come on the Breakers bandwagon. I'm not even on it yet, but come on to the bandwagon. I even got the colors on. Like... it might be fitting. That might be it. I might have to be a New Orleans Breakers fan. I might have to. But we'll see, guys. We're about 9 minutes away from kickoff of the games. I'm going to get ready and get ready to get in position to watch those games. Let me know what you guys think, though. Keep this conversation going at Twitter, at Real Take Sports, youtube.com/RealTakeSports, youtube.com/RealTake Wrestling for all your wrestling needs. Also, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I've been Omar Q. This has been USFL Today Live, Week 1. Until next time, enjoy football, everyone. Enjoy your Easter Sunday, and keep it real.